Okay, so gonna look at the near side armbar. Glenn's flat on his back. If you have your head facing that way, perfect. Okay, so we have different types, obviously, of arm bars. Okay, so we've looked basically with two legs over. Okay, but another variation of the arm bar is I have one leg over. You go hand to hand. So obviously, the main escape from this type of arm bar is the hitchhiker escape, which we'll go over next. But let's just talk about the setup to get the one leg over arm bar. So from side control, more than likely, Glenn doesn't want me putting all my weight on his vital organs, so he's going to have sort of like T-Rex arms. So we're in our position here, nice. So what am I thinking about? So from here, let's just say the cross-face underhook. I'm going to switch to a reverse cross-face, and my free right hand is going to come to the near side hip. From here, I'm going to start turning towards north-south till I get on the power line, the diagonal line between his left hip and his right shoulder. Now I need to get him onto the side, so I get the crook of my arm underneath the near side elbow. And from there, as I push and raise his elbow, his body's going to move. To do this, I'm going to lift my knees off the mat and physically roll him this way. That's what I'm after. I mean, I've seen people try to grab the pants to turn someone onto their side, but if I try to just raise his right knee, his legs move, but his body doesn't. All right, so we want to be getting right under the crook of his arm, under his elbow. And now from there, but when my knees come off the mat, I'm physically rolling him this way. Now, he might decide to keep rolling to his knees, which would be another pathway. But to keep it simple, he's staying on his side. So once I'm here, my left hand is coming underneath, and I'll use my right hand to pass his left wrist to my left hand. So we're in this position here. So there's 4 pressures I'm going to be putting on Glenn. When I'm here, my left forearm is going to be pushing forward. Notice the way it's putting his chin in his chest. Putting him in an uncomfortable position because I'm putting a bend in the spine. Okay? My other arm, that was under the crook of the arm, grabs the bicep, and I'm going to be pulling his bicep back as if I'm starting a lawnmower. That's our second pressure. Third pressure is my shin comes up and it's going to go across his right hip. So it's pushing forward. And also from there, my hip is behind his shoulder, which is also driving forward. So from our position driving forward, we have the shin and his hip, my hip and his shoulder, okay, and my forearm pushing his chin into his chest. Pulling back the other way is my right hand to my right hip. Once I'm here, just move, bro. I'm connected to him. And now, I don't let go of the wrist until I replace my left arm with my left heel. So I'm just going to come up to the foot. I step over, and in one movement, then I let go, and I step back into the armbar. Okay. Now the beauty about this way of doing it is I'm going to create space between his hands so I don't get into having to break this grip. Let's look at that again. So at any stage when I hit the armbar, bro, you're going to try and get hand to hand. Okay. So from Glenn has framed. Okay. So from a cross-face underhook, I switch to a reverse cross-face. Right hand comes to the near side hip. I don't stay perpendicular. I need to start cutting an angle and getting the crook of my arm under his arm. So I'm getting on that power line, somewhere between side control and north-south. Once I'm there, I need to get him onto the side. So I physically lift my knees and I roll him onto the side. Right hand passes to my left, but the left comes from behind his neck, and he make that grip, and that's a thumbless grip. So our first pressure is put his chin in his chest. So that's pushing forward. I want as much space between his left hand and his right hand. I don't want him grabbing this as I go to armbar. So now I'm pulling this back to my hip. My knee comes into his lat, and my hips are engaged. Try to go hand to hand there. And when the moment's right, my foot steps over. Try to go hand to hand before I hit the armbar. I'm pulling this right back, and now it's this. Okay? So we're pulling straight back, and then we have the juji. Let's get one more angle on that, bro. If we just go with your head this way, perfect. Nice. Just this way, perfect. So he T-rexes his hands from the cross-face underhook. Elbow comes. So I don't want him moving his head this way. Right hand comes here, and I'm going to start cutting an angle and getting the crook of my arm under his arm. I lift my knees off the mat and physically roll him forward. Notice the way my weight is keeping him on the side. Once I'm there, right hand pushes to the mat, left comes underneath, and you make that grip. Right hand comes in, and I'm pulling, okay? As much space between his hands as possible. If he tries to go hand to hand, it's difficult. So pressure, shins forward, elbows back, hips forward, forearm into his chest. So now this foot comes up. Try to go hand to hand. And I don't let go of my left hand until my foot replaces. Okay? The other detail we're thinking about is my right foot's right under his shoulder. It's not out here. I'm making sure that when I come over the top, my hips are underneath his right shoulder. So a bad one leg over armbar is too much space. Glenn's easily going to get his elbow to the mat. Where I want to be here. And again, with this setup, I'm making sure that at no stage does he get hand to hand, which is going to make it a little bit more trickier till finish. And more than likely, he's going to be looking for the hitchhiker escape.